This is a fan-generated show. If you would like to support us, please go to jamieglazov.com and also don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. All your support is greatly appreciated.
Good evening. Welcome to the Jamie Glazov Moment. Tonight, heroic truth teller Ben Carson. Thank you very much, Ben Carson, for telling the truth about Islam recently. As many of you know, Mr. Carson was on Meet the Press and said that it would not be a good idea to have a Muslim leading the United States. And now all the media and the left is out. Carson is a racist and a bigot, etc., etc. Again, not the issue. This is what's great what Ben Carson did because he crystallized this. This is not about racism and bigotry. Islam is not a race. Later on Sunday evening in his interview with The Hill, Carson explained, if the Muslim renounces Sharia law, if he renounces Islamic law, then he doesn't have a problem with it. So what's the issue here? The issue is Ben Carson is pointing out, Islam is an ideology. Sharia, Islamic law, and Sharia Islamic law support theocracy. Sharia law is against freedom of speech. It's against women's rights. It's against the separation of church and state, of mosque and state. It considers Muslims to be superior to non-Muslims. In other words, all people are not created equal the way the Declaration of Independence says and believes. So this is about ideology. And Ben Carson should be patted on the back for this and praised for this because he's pointing out that the threat of Islam is not about the people who are concerned hating people or Muslim people. It's about an ideology that is incompatible with the American Constitution. Now, the left is out calling him all these names. Very typically, the spokesman of CARE has come out. One of the spokesmen, Ibrahim Hooper, has said that Carson is, Muslim hater and all this stuff and needs to step out of the GOP race. Let's take a look at Hooper's views. In a 1993 interview with the Minneapolis Star-Tribune, Hooper said, "I wouldn't want to create the impression that I wouldn't like the government of the United States to be Islamic sometime in the future." So he ideally would like Sharia law in the United States. Okay, and he's criticizing Carson for having worries that a Muslim might install Sharia law, but he himself wants to ideally impose Sharia law. 10 years later, in 2003, Hooper stated that if Muslims were ever to become a numerical majority in the United States, they would likely seek to replace the Constitution with Islamic law. Okay? So, in other words, we all know this. This isn't a secret. The ideology of Islam is that when Muslims become the majority in a country, they'd like to do it earlier, but when they become the majority, it's easier for them and ideally to install Sharia law. Once again, this is about Sharia. So let me just go over this for a second. Sharia law violates the American Constitution. It mandates theocracy. There is no separation of church and state. There is no freedom of speech. There is no freedom for women. Muslims are considered inferior. In Islam, all men are not created equal because the kafir is seen as inferior. The Declaration of Independence, the whole American institution, our government, our society believes people are created equal. So there is a problem here. Let me emphasize something else. Do you know why slavery is practiced in Mauritania today, in Sudan, in Mali? Well, it's practiced by Muslims because slavery is still enshrined and mandated in Sharia law. Slavery is being practiced by this day. Non-Muslims, including Muslims, black Africans, are enslaved in parts of Africa today by Muslims practicing Sharia law. Let me say something to you leftists out there. You want a black man to support slavery. Think about how twisted you are. You are the lowlives. You are the scumbags. You are being exposed now because you want a black man to support slavery. That's what Sharia supports. Thank you, Ben Carson, for crystallizing what this is all about. It's not about being bigoted or racist. It's about freedom-loving people not wanting a tyrannical ideology to take over the United States. Thank you, Ben Carson. We'll see you next week on the Jamie Glazov Moment. Good night.